Well, let's get more details on how SANEDI was able to, of course, go ahead with that assessment to really bring the two entities together. The South African National Energy Development Institute's Professor Prathaban Moodley joins us now for more on the story. Prof, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I suppose one could say congratulations are in order. A long-awaited negotiation, an agreement between the city and Eskom. And of course, you've got your colleague there from SANEDI, Titus Mathe, singing your praises in that package as well, speaking about the work that you've done in really executing that assessment, the technical assessment of what needs to be looked at for this agreement to be reached. But I think let's start there. What would this assessment have looked like from the very beginning, when you already had, for instance, City Power having accused Eskom of overbilling for the longest of time? So where exactly would your assessment, or did your assessment, start?
Thanks so much, Naledi. Yes, it's a rather complex issue. In fact, I wasn't the only person that done the assessment. I was helped with a very capable technical team at SANEDI, and we also had 2 representatives from Eskom and 2 representatives from City Power throughout the full assessment of 3 months. Where we really started off with was really verifying all of this metering infrastructure. What it really meant was that we needed to go to various sites. There are 48 bulk intake points across the territory in Johannesburg that takes infeed from Eskom. And what we needed to do is actually go out to the sites as the technical team and verify a variety of things, including, is it the right meters? Are they accurately installed? Are they configured correctly, and so forth? We also then took a whole host of data directly from the meters. The meters do contain data at least for 3 months to 6 months, so you can actually download the actual raw data from the meters. And we had to take that data and compare it against the 5-year data that Eskom actually stores and keeps in their systems. What we had to do is replicate all of the metering processes and the billing processes in our analytical tools. So as you can imagine, 48 sites, and each of the sites have 5 years of data, does take a lot of time. We also then applied the various tariffs and so forth for each of those metering points, and then made various observations from that. Yeah. So it is quite a technical process, but I'm glad that we've been through that.
It certainly looks like it answered, or looked to answer, the critical questions that many residents complain about. For instance, just how we interact with our meters. Such a contentious discussion, in various parts of the country, really. And one of the questions, as you say, was, are these the right meters? So the hardware, what were some of the key findings there?
Yeah, we found, in terms of the hardware, all of the billing authority, which is Eskom, had all of the correct hardware installed, and I think that made our job of data analysis a lot more easier. So, the hardware was correct. It was the right class of meter. It was configured with what they call as the K factors, and the K factors were configured in the standardized way. And what it then meant is that we could rely very accurately from an engineering perspective on the data that's coming out of those meters. Yeah. So I think we're glad to report on that.
I don't think anyone looks at their electricity bill, though, and smiles. But what were some of your key findings there when you compared the data that you're collecting from the hardware to the billing system, which, again, has been the biggest bone of contention between City Power and Eskom, right? The issue of whether or not they were billing accurately. So the key findings there.
Absolutely. So what we found is across all of the sites that we actually done the analysis, we found very, very accurate correlation between the raw data that actually came from the meters that we downloaded from the sites and what's actually on Eskom's metering systems. There were some circumstances where the meters were not reading, and so forth. And those are usual circumstances. Sometimes you have the modems going down, sometimes you have metering corruption and so forth. And all of that is then covered by the national regulatory specifications, which governs how you deal with metering systems. But in general, we found a lot of accuracy. Obviously, there were a few sites that had no metering infrastructure, mainly because of vandalism. Sometimes it's been because of a substation fire, which just damaged all of the metering infrastructure. That's where we don't have any metering information or live metering information. The standard then asks, the utility, the billing authority, to go back in history and start using an estimation protocols. And we have to also then have, some type of analysis to ensure that the estimated protocols had been dealt with correctly and in line with the standards.
Yeah. Okay. So an agreement of 3.2 billion rand seen that will be paid over 4 years. And I don't know if some of your technical assessment would have looked at the affordability for city power and the city. I mean, talk to me about we've seen a concession of 830 million rand, but is this feasible for the city and plausible over the next 4 years?
So our main focus was really on the technical aspects, so we didn't get involved in actual negotiations on settlement. But I think by and large we see the parties are very big and very reputable utilities, not only in South Africa, but they are large enough utilities. And what we do understand that they've entered into this agreement under good faith, and we do believe that they've done a lot of due diligence to ensure that those agreements will be honored. So I think we're comfortable that at the face of it, all of that agreement has been done in good faith, and all of that agreement should be honored.
Yeah, we'll be following up on it on our side. Prof, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. Professor Prathaban Moodley there of the South African National Energy Development Institute.